Well, welcome back to the program, June the 8th. Welcome to the program, the final lap of the show. If you're just joining us, let's remind you where we started from. The Nigeria Bureau of Statistics released first quarter labor productivity down 2.4% Q on Q, and unemployment rising for the first quarter as well. That's about 7.5%. So about 73.4 million Nigerians are now out of job. That figure rose 816,110 in the first quarter, while the first quarter, of course, the same period that the GDP down about 2%. Okay, let's get back to some of the financial crimes being reported in recent times. If you've been around for quite a few years, you remember the wonder banks and those fraudulent investment schemes, many of them located in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. That's about 55 miles, or about 60 kilometers southwest of Nigeria, of Lagos here. So that's one important story. Then you watch recently those folks who scammed the central bank and the banking system in general. 8 billion naira, the case still in court. The Economic and Financial Crimes prosecuting those guys. Then the next day, you found another set of guys discovered for printing fake currencies in the same Oyo State capital, Ibadan to be precise. That's if you discount those discoveries by the police of cult activities, including rituals, den of robbers being discovered. So the key question is, what makes Ibadan an attractive place for financial criminals? Boniface Chizia, economist, still with us here in the studio.
Yeah, Wilson, thank you very much. I wish I know what
you can read the Criminal Minds. With this TV series called Criminal Minds.
I wish I know what
we need to get someone.
I think you need somebody who is in intelligence gathering and has forensic expertise.
Expertise. Also, who can be a psychic to tell us what's in the minds of these guys.
What is happening. But let me say that, in fact, Wonder Bank wasn't just Ibadan alone. We had Wonder Banks in Umana was in Port Harcourt.
That's where it started.
Also, yes, where it started.
In the late 80s.
Yes, and also we had some Wonder Bank activity in Benin also. I can't remember the name, but I remember that.
It seems the South is where this thing grows.
Well, yes. Well, in terms of malpractice, well, I should be very careful here. In terms of cutting corners and so on and so forth, there are some sections of this country that they are not too clever in doing that. They're not too adept in doing that. And I don't know, sometimes whether it runs, it's stock that runs with, I think that again has to do with the acquisitive tendencies, the greed, the quest, and then the values you have within an environment. You find that, people, wealth without work, Gandhi calls it one of the 7 deadliest sins, wealth without work. So commerce without morality, politics without principles, religion without sacrifice, and so on and so forth. He categorized in 7. And wealth without work, as far as Gandhi was concerned, was one of the 7 deadliest sins you could commit.
According to Gandhi.
Gandhi, yes. And so where you have that being perpetrated, so it's difficult for me to say, I don't know why Ibadan.
Because if you look at Ibadan, I'm sure, yes, you know a lot more about Ibadan than myself. So please go ahead. In terms of that city being one of the reputed largest cities in West Africa, and one of the largest in Africa, laid back, as it were, civil servant, a lot of agrarian people doing trade, transport, and what have you. And suddenly, within the last 10 years, we've seen this raft of, almost on a daily basis, the authorities discovering one kind of financial crimes than the other, coupled with ritual killings, and very amazing.
Yeah, well, I think I would say to a large extent, if you ask me, I think I'll say that those things happen elsewhere. I think maybe it happens that maybe a bit out of proportion in Ibadan and so on and so forth. Ibadan is also reputed, the University of Ibadan, a premier university, in this country. And I think that's our first television station, Western Nigeria. Also Ibadan. So Ibadan,
and the first university as well.
Yes,
and a teaching hospital.
Teaching hospital. So Ibadan has lots of things going for it in terms of legacies. So I think maybe it's coincidental, and I don't think that's anything that has to do with the particular the makeup, the mindset.
The new generation of individuals are growing up. Now, this was a city, but it's becoming highly cosmopolitan. If you go there in recent years, you find a lot of entertainment, social life, in Ibadan, but it was no longer the laid-back, agrarian, old people community. Suddenly grew to become a number of people work in Lagos and commute to Ibadan and live in Ibadan. So, does it look like, from the number on the age bracket of those who are being accused by the authorities, by the police, the FCC, and whatever you, for these crimes, do you think a new generation had suddenly come out of Ibadan or now residing there that no longer like their forefathers?
The Yahoo generation.
The Yahoo and Facebook generation, or the get-rich-quick generation.
The get-rich-quick generation, you know, the internet and so on and so forth. I think that, again, it would be most unfair for us to begin to look at Ibadan and say, you know, this is peculiar to Ibadan. I think that most of the things we observe, you know, you can find them in most urban centers. Lagos, if you went to Lagos, you went to Port Harcourt.
Printing fake certificates.
Printing, what about Oluwole? There's a place in Lagos.
Printing share certificates?
Well, I don't know. There's a place in Lagos.
And visas.
Visas, you know, where,
like that.
You know, where this is reputed, you know, that's...
We're thinking of Oluwole these days. Those guys migrate. But if you look at Nigerian cities, and you're talking about perhaps we expand this a little bit, there was a time in recent years that Aba was called by one newspaper the kidnapping capital of Nigeria. So what makes the city so attractive?
I think that sometimes you find that some people, evil-minded people, come up in a place and appreciate some like activities that are antisocial, and then people begin to brand a location. For instance, you know, people still see the Southeast as an area when you're talking of issues, social issues, as where you have kidnapping. But I think that has been corrected. It's been wiped out, and so. It's something that's very difficult to stop in and say, look, this place, this environment, this community, this is very difficult.
I go back to the question. Is there a new generation here that we need to keep an eye on? Is it unemployment? Is it the economy? What drives people into these kind of very serious crimes? 8 billion naira, dirty note scam with the central bank. That looks like one of the biggest, if not the biggest scam anybody ever run on a central bank in Nigeria's 55 history.
Well, I think that as for recent history, yes, it will seem to be depicted. Of course, it's huge. You're talking about 8 billion naira, a whole lot of money, you know.
It's a pile of cash.
A pile of cash. So I would expect that for that to happen, you know, that I would expect that they're prosecuted and so on and so on. But you see, I get back again to what I was saying, that where these things are being perpetrated, you have to look at the value system, you know, in the environment. And there's somebody who is a clerk. There's somebody amongst those fellows, there's somebody who couldn't speak English. But I was pretending. I didn't know how he managed to get a job anyway. And he needed an interpreter. And so you say to yourself, and somebody now begins to own filling stations and begins to have own real estates and South Africa, choice cars and so on and so forth. And then what then do you find? And those people that would stigmatize the person and say, look, you know, this fellow, how did he get this money? In those days gone past, you know, the people would want to ostracize you, put you on the side and avoid you and say, look, that man, you know, he's a kidnapper. He's a ritualist, you know. But then you find out what tends to happen now is that you have this money and people celebrate money.
That looks like your generation.
That's my generation. Generation before the one that followed.
That looks like your generation.
Yes.
You're talking about your generation.
Yes.
We're talking about a new generation.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you,
Boniface, which is an economist here on the program, putting some perspectives in some of the stories making the headlines. That's about all for today. We thank you for watching, everyone. From Channel's global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria, I am Bosin Amofaye. Do have a great day and stick around for our news track at the top of the hour.